So, when you hear the name Philadelphia Quakers, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably a little slice of American history, right? Well, it turns out that name has a story that is way more complicated and, honestly, a lot weirder than you'd ever guess. It's a name with two totally different lives. So, which is it? Did you picture a historic religious group? You know, the one that's a huge part of the city's identity and known for its commitment to peace? Or did your mind go to, I don't know, intense competition on a field or an ice rink? The wild thing is, it's both. And the story of how these two polar opposites ended up sharing the exact same name is what we're going to unpack right now. Okay, so let's start with the side of the story most of us already know. To really get the big twist, we've got to go back to the original Quakers and this legacy of peace that's literally woven into the fabric of Philadelphia. Now, the Religious Society of Friends, who we all know as the Quakers, weren't just living in Philadelphia. They were basically the architects of the city's whole identity. Their beliefs in peace and social justice, these weren't just abstract ideas. They were the foundation the city was built on. And remember that word, endurance. It's going to be pretty important to the story. But right on top of that solid, peaceful foundation, our story takes a hard left turn. Because that very same name, Quakers, got pulled into a completely different world, an arena defined not by peace, but by some of the most fierce physical competition you can imagine, professional sports. And you see, this wasn't just some random coincidence or a one-off thing. Oh no, there's this whole hidden history here, a pattern that is just, well, it's almost too strange to believe. So how common are we talking? You might be thinking, okay, maybe one team tried it out as a nod to the city. But nope, the name Philadelphia Quakers was actually used by 5 different professional sports teams. 5. All of a sudden, a name that means peace was being stitched onto jerseys for athletes heading into battle. So who in the world were these teams? Let's take a look at this forgotten roster of franchises that all tried to carry this iconic name onto the field and, as it turns out, the ice. Just get a load of this list. It all starts with baseball. Even the famous Philadelphia Phillies were originally called the Quakers. Then, another baseball team gave it a go in the 1890s. By 1921, the name jumps over to football with the Union Quakers, who were gone after one season. 5 years later, yet another football team tries it. Their fate? Same story, one season, and done. And finally, in 1930, the name makes its big debut in the NHL. And, you guessed it, the team folded after just one terrible season. Are you seeing this pattern here? I mean, besides the Phillies, who ditched the name pretty quick, being called the Quakers in pro sports was basically a curse. It was like a guaranteed one-season flameout. This became the signature move for teams in 3 different sports. It's an absolutely incredible streak of just vanishing. And that really is the central irony, isn't it? A name that represents centuries of peace and endurance somehow became the symbol for sports teams that were aggressive, competitive, and gone in the blink of an eye. So let's just put it all together. On one hand, you have the original Quakers, a story about lasting principles and deep historical roots. And on the other, you have the sports Quakers, this bizarre, forgotten legacy of teams that burned incredibly bright, but for an incredibly short time, leaving almost nothing behind. 2 completely opposite destinies, tied together by one single name. And all of this leaves us with one last, really fascinating question. For almost 50 years, why did team owners keep branding their aggressive, conflict-driven teams with a name that is literally synonymous with peace? Was it a genuine tribute to the city's history? Was it just a lack of imagination? Or maybe, just maybe, it was some kind of unconscious, ironic nod to the city's identity? We'll probably never know for sure, but it is a bizarre little corner of history that really makes you wonder, what's in a name?